Hey guys, I wanted to share my progress or lack thereof on my new book project with Super Siblings 3, the new superhero adventure I'm working on. And I've been recording these videos periodically describing my process. And as you may know, I'm in the middle of writing. And I gotta say, this week, I feel like I have been hit with some writer's block. And I thought I'd talk about that a little bit. What happens to me is I get really excited. The fun part of the process is kind of conceiving of the idea, and even just the initial start is my favorite part. I love the excitement of starting a new project and all the stuff that goes along with that, trying to come up with something to start and gather my references and write my outline and all that kind of stuff, which I've been doing up until now. And now I got to sit down and do the work. And nine times out of 10, when I start trying to work, something distracts me. And it's easy to be distracted. And of course, I can try to tune out the world. I can turn on Do Not Disturb. I can hide my phone. I can hide my computer, whatever, but it all starts trying to get my attention. And this is very typical for me. And maybe it's typical for others that when the work needs to happen, suddenly everything else becomes important. I mean, frankly, I'd be willing to like go clean the dishes instead of write right now, which is ridiculous because this is what I want to do. I want to create my book. So the only way I know how to confront that is to treat myself like a little kid and set a timer. So what I do is I try to set a timer and I put away my devices, set things aside, and I say, you're going to work on this for the next 30 minutes. And you can't leave until you do this. A lot of times when I do that, uh, I'll get into it finally at about, let's say, 20 minutes of fooling around trying to get something to happen. And then in that last 10 minutes of that 30 minutes is when things start to ramp up and I get into gear and then I keep going. Well, that has also failed me today. Today's one of those days where that hasn't even worked. So I'm stuck. I'm stuck in neutral, basically. The last ditch effort I have right now is I'm not going to allow myself to ditch this work today. I'm going to force myself to work. But what I have to do is let go of this feeling that I have to write really well. I have to, make my prose really interesting, or I have to really solve the a problem I have on what's going to happen. No. At the very least, I'm just going to write notes. I'm just going to write words. I'm going to write them in sequence and say, what do I want to happen in this chapter on this page? Whatever. I'm going to force myself to write something to move the story forward somehow. I'm just going to try to flesh something out and not let myself get away with quitting today. I'm not going to let that happen. Um, I don't know why I'm like this. I suspect that a lot of creative people are like this. Um, that the fun part is the start, the hard part is the buckling down and getting it done. So that's where I'm at. I'm just stuck. So I decided to record this video as a way of expressing that because I'm stuck. But I'm going to push through. And I think the best thing I'm going to do today, like I said, is I'm just going to attack those chapters and write garbage for a while. Just write out in completely broken English what's happening. If it's dialogue, I'll just write some dialogue. If it's some descriptions, I'm just going to write this happens, this happens, this happens in really terrible form just to get something on the page. And that's going to be the struggle today. Get that done. Once I have that, then I'll work on refining it maybe another day. But it's important to me not to let this moment pass. It's a luxury to have some time to write today, so I don't want to lose it, and I don't want to let myself just fritter it away. So that's where I'm at in this little update on my project. So nothing significant to report other than I'm just trying to push my way through. So hope that gives you some ideas on what you can do. Don't ever let the day go past without doing something. Force yourself to do a little bit. every day, and then you'll make progress. All right. See you around. Check in with you next time.